I know it's been years since I last, remembered someone, but this time, it's only been a few months. But this time I thought I'd be, generous to mourn the loss of someone we just lost today. Today we lost a great man and a great game show legend. We lost Bob Barker today on August 26th of 2023, just a few months before his 100th birthday. So in his memory, I'm going to be bringing to you some of the stuff that I liked what he had to offer on The Price is Right, and do a special double ranking of my favorite games from his run on the show. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers. Welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Doyle, better known to as the Big D, with a special video and a double ranking. It's going to be on my favorite and least favorite Price is Right pricing games. And I'm going to do this in memory of Bob Barker, whom we sadly lost today at the age of 99. Here's a recent photo of him, and this video is dedicated in memory of him. Bob hosted The Price is Right on CBS from 1972 to 2007. If you haven't seen my TV log of the game, you can check it out when I put up in the end of the video. Anyway, now, sad that we lost Barker today. Now, as I read, he died of natural causes. Or so I read. And many celebrities out there have mourned his loss and you know what I'm saying, mourned the loss of him, including Adam Sandler, the comedian, and of course Rob Schneider, and of course current Price is Right host Drew Carey, plus a lot of others. Now, of course, Barker starting out by hosting the game show Truth or Consequences, which I haven't really seen much of the show, however, but I've heard of it since he mentioned it. He started hosting The Price is Right in 1972 and later became an advocate for animal rights and animal rights activism, supporting groups such as the United Activists for Animal Rights and PETA and the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society. Now, of course, while The Price is Right did start out, by showing off a fur coat as one of their first items up for bids on their first episode, which you can find the full episode on YouTube. But however, Barker was not yet, not yet, I believe not yet, at the point where he would do his famous in line to say to help control the pet population, have your pet spayed or neutered. But that's understandable. Anyway, Barker would go on to do numerous things. Well, aside from Truth or Consequences, he even subsequently hosted other game shows as well as the Miss Universe and Miss USA pageants from 67 to 87, giving him the distinction of being the longest serving host of those pageants. Incredible. Now, of course, he retired from The Price is Right in 2007 after 35 years, and continued to make occasional appearances for several years into his retirement until 2015. So anyway, I think Bob Barker was one of the greatest men out there in game show history, along with lots of others. Now, even though The Price is Right was out in the 50s and was hosted by Bill Cullen, the legendary game show pioneer himself, but, Barker's Price is Right, which started out as the new Price is Right in its first season, was even bigger. And it's still doing well to this day. So anyway, I'm going to respectfully dedicate this video in memory of Barker and send out my various thoughts, and even prayers to his family and others. I'll probably also mention, well, the main three Barker's beauties that I'm mostly familiar with: Janice Pennington, Diane Parkinson, and Holly Hallstrom. I'll also give a little bit of a shout to them. Well, even let's see. Well, one of the first models that was on there, Anitra Ford, and of course the later Ford Parker's Beauty that joined Janice, Diane, and Holly, and that was Kathleen Bradley. So so Bob Barker, this is for you. Rest in peace. I just hope you'll be ready to be back with your old colleagues of announcers, Johnny Olsen and Rod Riley. May they rest in peace as well. Well, I just threw that in there to see if you were paying attention. But I'm serious about the rest of it, though. When The Price is Right came to the scene in 1972, it had the same thing, just with items up for bids, and then whoever, well, came close to the actual retail price without going over the price, they would go on stage and play a special pricing game. Now then, I'm going to give you my rankings now. I picked 10 games, but this was very tough and what have you. And please do not get angry at me at some of these. I'm going to start with my least favorite Price is Right pricing games, okay? Of course, I picked 10 of them. Now, for the honorable mentions, these are the games that didn't make it. Pathfinder, that game's okay and what have you, but it's tough though. On the Spot, I have seen maybe a little bit of that, but I've heard that game's not that great. Danger Prize, that game's okay and what have you, but it's had some issues though. The Check game, again, that game's fine too, which started out as Blank Check. And the original Bullseye, not the one you see to this day, because Bullseye originally started out with playing for a car and you had 7 chances to, well, pick the prize. Well, say the price of it and what have you, in a high-low thing, which was like a precursor to the clock game. All right, here are my 10 least favorite pricing games of The Price is Right. Number 10 is Walk of Fame. This was on during the 1983 season. It didn't really last that long, though, and was a pretty tough game, to be honest. Excuse me for a second. Let me get my source and I'll point it out. Walk of Fame premiered in November of 83 and it was last played on November of '85. It was a pricing game based on the world famous Hollywood Walk of Fame. It was played for 4 prizes, one worth between $10 to $100, and one worth between $100 to $1,000, and two worth more than $1,000. The contestant was shown the 4 prizes and then asked to guess the price of the first prize when a certain range above or below the actual retail price. The player was correct. They won the prize and moved on to the next one, which was more expensive when increased range allowed. So long as the contestant made correct guesses, the process was repeated for each of the 4 prizes. If at any point the contestant's guess was outside the required range for a prize, the contestant lost that particular prize. They were given one opportunity to continue unless the wrong guess was on the final prize. 2 autograph books filled with the autographs of the show's cast were shown up to the contestant, one of which also contained the word second chance stamped inside. They chose one, and if they chose the one with second chance, they would continue. Otherwise, the game was over, and that's that. A very tough game that one was. Definitely. Number 9 would be On the Nose. Now, this premiered in September of 1984 and lasted until November of 85. Now, this was sort of kind of like their hole-in-one game, which, of course, this was still before it went to 2, but we'll see where that winds up on my favorite games. Now, it's where you had to perform a sporting feat to win. It was Play for a car and a potential cash bonus of 1,000. To win the car, the contestant had to successfully accomplish a sporting feat. 5 sporting events alternated in different playings of the game, throwing a mini football or a baseball through a hole in the game board, making a free throw with a mini basketball, popping a balloon with a dart, and hitting a tennis ball through a hole in the game board. Yes. So this was like with a task, one of the pricing games with a task of physical skill required to win and what have you. They had to determine how many chances they would have to perform it before they could do that. They were shown 4 possible prices for the card. Picking the correct price earned the contestant $1,000 in 4 attempts. Choosing the nearest incorrect one did 3, and so on. So anyway, yeah. This game, I have seen play of it, and well, let me put to you this way. It's okay though. Next, number 8 is the gallery game. This one was short-lived. It debuted in September of 1990, but ended in April of 1991. This is where a contestant would pay a number in the price to complete it. Now, the contestant was shown a painting of the price of a prize being played for, and below it was most of the price, 3 complete digits, and a partially completed 4th digit. The contestant had to paint in the rest of the digit, accompanied by a movement of Handel's war music. Correct choice 1 and the partial 4th digit usually had a distinguishing mark completed in order to reduce the field of possible answers, as a horizontal line across the top. I gotta tell you, I have seen this one before. It's not that great though. They retired it big time, definitely. Okay, next, number 7 is the card game. Yes, now, this game here is, well, let me put it to you this way. It's fine and all, but this game still gets played to this day. If I'm not mistaken. Of course it is. It debuted in July of 1974, and the contestant used playing cards from a standard deck to bid on a car. Before playing the game, the contestant draws a card from another deck to determine how close their bid must be to the actual price without going over to win. The contestant's bid starts at 15,000 and increases as the contestant draws cards. Now, and face cards add $1,000, and number cards add their face value multiplied by 100. Aces are wild and can either be played immediately or held aside. When the contestant chooses to stop drawing cards, the price of the card is revealed. If the bid win is within the target range without going over, the contestant wins the card. This is still going to this day. Number 6 would be a really terrible game that I've seen this before. The shower game. I've seen a clip of this. This was quickly retired big time. Now, hang on just a second. It takes some time though. Okay, now, the contestant was shown 6 shower stalls, each marked with a possible price for a car. 3 stalls contained confetti, 2 contained $100, and the one with the actual price contained a key to the car. The contestant chose the stall with confetti. He or she continued to choose stalls until he or she found either the two with the money, win the cash, or the keys, winning the car. The game was retired because of a lack of strategy and unpopularity with viewers, as the set reminded them of the Holocaust. This debuted in September of '78, but was retired in November of that year. Now, same thing would go for number 5, and that would be the telephone game. This debuted on November 1st, 1978, but ended at the end of the month on November 29th. A car and two smaller prizes are shown, along with four grocery items. The contestant was given $1 to purchase two of the four grocery items, attempting to spend less than 90 cents so that he or she would have a dime left to use a paid telephone. If the contestant succeeded, he or she dialed one of three given sets of four-digit telephone numbers and won whatever prize's price was associated with that number. The number for the car represented its price in dollars, while the numbers for the two small prizes represented their prices in dollars and cents with no decimal point. The contestant won nothing if their grocery item purchase exceeded 90 cents. The official reason the game was retired is that the producers declared that it was lame. However, they did do a better pricing game with a different kind of game. Okay, number 4 is 10 chances. Yeah, please don't hate me for having this one in here. 10 chances debuted in July of 1975, and it's still going to this day. The contestant is given 10 chances to correctly price three prizes. The first has a 2-digit prize, second a 3-digit, and the third is a car. The contestant is given three, well, 3 digits for the 2-digit price and must guess the price using two of the digits in any order. The process repeats for the second, which has 4 digits to select, and the car, which was 5. The game ostensibly includes a 10-second time limit for writing down each choice, though this was rarely enforced. Originally, the game used cars with 4 digits in the price, and the contestant had to use 4 of the 5 available digits to form the price of the car. Now, if you check out YouTube, I've seen this clip. This chick named Joy was playing, and she took so long to guess the prices for everything. She even messed up times when she was playing for the car. But you know what they say, nobody's perfect. Number 3, you'll probably feel that a lot of you would probably have this number 1, but I've only seen its actual playings, and that's Professor Price, introduced on November 14th, 1977, but was retired the following week. The contestant attempted to answer general knowledge questions with numerical answers like how many innings are there in a regulation baseball game in order to win a car. And after answering the first question, the contestant was asked if the correct answer to that question, which was always a digit from 0 to 9, was also contained in the price of the car. Now, general knowledge and pricing questions were repeated in this manner until the contestant either gave 3 correct responses and won the car, or 3 incorrect responses and lost the game. A large animatronic puppet, the titular character, was central to the game, which sort of would possibly give y'all nightmares or something like that. The progress for the contestant was tracked by the professor's hands. Correct answers were counted by upward pointing fingers or the puppet's right hand, and incorrect answers were counted by downward pointing fingers on his left hand. The game was played only twice, making the shortest lived game in the show's history, but it was also the only game to have a perfect record, having been won. It was retired because the producers deemed that the trivia part of the game did not fit in with the concept of the show. But hey, that's understandable, certainly. Now, if that's number 2, but if that's number 3, what's my top 2? Guys, please do not hate me for having this up there. My second least favorite game is Cliffhangers, introduced in April of 1976 and is still going to this day. It has a cardboard mountain climber who climbs up a mountain based on how far the contestant misses the price of a prize. And missing by too much could lead the mountain climber to his doom. Now, the character didn't actually have a name though, but now Drew Carey refers to the character as Hans and what have you. And Dennis James hosted the syndicated version, call this character Fritz, but unfortunately that upset Janice though, and which caused Dennis James to get fired. Anyway, it well, the centerpiece of Cliffhangers is a game board with a stylized mountain slope that has a scale which runs from 0 at its base to 25 at the peak, which ends at a cliff. At the start of the game, there's a mountain climber on the 0 marks at the base of the mountain. You're shown a 2-digit price and asked to bid on. If he or she didn't the actual price, the mountain climber stays where he is. Otherwise, a buzzer sounds and the climber moves up the mountain. And what have you. Which, by the way, this was my biggest gripe. I mean, they've been using that same cotton picking yodeling song ever since the day this came. Come on, you people. Can't we have a new, improved song, huh? Yeah, that's my least favorite. I got tired of hearing that. It was just getting to me big time. So this is my second least favorite game. I don't hate the game. I just wish it would get its yodeling music replaced with new improved yodeling music. You know what I'm saying, folks? And my number one is, oh, you guys, please don't hate me. Lucky 7. That's right, you heard me correctly. Lucky 7, which was introduced in 1973 and is still going to this day. It's a pricing game played for a car and comes from the fact that the contestant is given $7 bills to start but only needs one to buy the car. Now, the contestant is given those to start the game and is shown the first digit in the car's price. They must then guess the remaining digits one at a time. After each digit is guessed, the actual digit is revealed. The contestant must pay the difference between their guess and the actual digit in dollars. Contestants do not lose any money if they get a digit exactly right. But if they lose all their money, the game ends. If the contestant has at least $1 remaining after the last digit is revealed, at the end of the game, they may buy the card for $1 and receive any leftover money. But even after they show it and they miss it, they still do the the little price thing and then go to the bloomin' losing horns, which I think that's bloomin' terrible and what have you. I know they can't do the buzzer and what have you. That wouldn't be right. But come on, that's my biggest complaint with this. I don't hate Lucky 7. It's just one of my. It's just that what I just said. But again, I don't hate the game though. These are just my least favorites. All right, now for my top favorite games, and this was kind of tough and what have you. I put up 10 honorable mentions. These are games that didn't make it. High Low, Master Key, Pick a Pair, Race Game, Shell Game, Easiest 1, 2, 3, Bargain Game, which was originally Barker's Bargain Bar, the Clock Game, Hit Me, the Poker Game, A Number, and Bonus Game. There might have been some other games I forgot to put on honorable mentions, so I do apologize for not including maybe one of your favorites, but let's just get this ranking over with. I've been taking too long. Here we go. First up, number 10 is Now or Then. Although it originally started out as Now and Then when it premiered in 1980, and it's still going on as Now or Then. Now, the rules are simple. The contestant is shown 6 grocery items arranged on a circular board, which is divided into 6 wedges, similar to the Trivial Pursuit pie game token. And a year and month sometime, usually 8 to 10 years in the past. And they select a grocery item and must determine where the price given is from either the current price now or the price of the specified date, which is then, to win the game and a large prize. The contestant must correctly guess 3 items that are on adjacent wedges in the circle. There is an unstated rule that there are always 4 now prices and 2 then prices, but sometimes there can be one product clearly marked new, which means that the product is obviously a now price. So that's it. This game is pretty good and what have you. Okay, next number 9 is a this is a retired game, Penny Ante. It debuted in 1979 and ended in 2002. It was so named because it took pennies to play a game with two grocery items. It involved the contestant having to have at least one penny left at the end of the game in order to win. The contestant was given three oversized pennies, and they were then shown a grocery item with four possible prices displayed, only one of which was correct. The contestant had to select the correct price. If they got the correct price, they could move on to the next one. But if they gave the incorrect price, they would have to give up a penny. However, however between two items the contestant made three mistakes, the game ends. If the contestant guessed the second price correctly and still had at least one penny left, then they would still win the large prize. The gameplay took place on a game board, which was split in half vertically to represent the two grocery items, and each of them sat on a shelf with four possible prices. Now, Bob would hit the yes, well, not the little penny buttons, and when it goes up, it'll to the back wall a little door will say yes or no for the prize. Yeah, it'll do it or something like that. They actually did use that for the Face the Devil round later on the Joker's Wild, as a matter of fact. Anyway, this game kind of got put on hiatus, but soon got retired in 2002 because it was due to it somehow got wet and what have you, or some, or so I heard. But anyway, Penny Ante, I thought it was pretty good. Number 8 would be the phone home game. It debuted in 1983, and this was much better than the crummy telephone game. This lasted until November of 1989. It was so called because the contestant involved got to play with a home viewer by phone, trying to share big cash prizes or so, up to a total of $15,000. It's named for its reference, E.T. Phone Home, which was spoken in E.T., which came out a year before this. This should not be confused with telephone game, and it isn't. Anyway, during much of the 80s, The Price is Right had a feature called Play Along, where viewers were invited to send postcards to the show for a chance to receive the same prizes won by the in-studio contestants. Well, this took this concept to another level. And the person whose postcard was drawn participated by telephone in a cooperative effort with the in-studio contestant to split a cash prize of up to $15,000. Incredible. Now then, the in-studio contestant was shown a game board listing 7 grocery items, each having an amount of money concealed beside it. The home player had been prepared with a list of the products and their actual prices. The home player gives the in-studio contestant 3 prices, one at a time, and the in-studio contestant had to match the price to the correct product on the board. If they were correct, they would earn the amount of money concealed next to that product, which was not revealed until the end of the game. If the pick was wrong, no money was earned, and both the wrongly guessed product and the product which actually matched the price were taken out of play. Once all 3 prices were played, the money concealed beside any correctly guessed product was revealed, and the 2 players split the winnings evenly. And the home player was only supposed to give a price to the in-studio contestant. If the home viewer read out the name of an item, the team would lose a turn, which happened on at least one occasion. But anyway, I thought this game was pretty good and what have you. Number 7. I thought, what the hey, this game can be tricky at times, but I like it for obvious reasons. The Dice Game. It debuted in June of 1976 and is still being played to this day. Another game we can play for a car where you attempt to use large red dice to roll to the correct digits in the price of a car. The contestant is shown the first digit in the price of a car on the game board. with 9 screens and is presented with 4 oversized dice on a gaming table. The contestant rolls the first die. If the number rolled matches the second light, the digit is revealed on both screens. But if a buzzer sounds, the contestant must decide whether the digit is higher or lower than the roll of he or she rolled. There's no zeros in the price of the card and no digits higher than 6. Now, if the contestant rolls a 1 or 6, the correct box is automatically marked higher or lower, respectively. But if it's anywhere in between, this makes the game a wee bit more tough. Each die must roll past a white line at the end, or it will not count. And then they have to try again. Once all 4 dice are played, provide that at least one number is not 1 or 6 or the exact number, which yields an instant win. Any digits that were not rolled exactly are revealed one at a time in the appropriate screen, higher or lower than the dice. The contestant must have rolled or correctly guessed higher or lower for all 4 digits to win. Now, later on, they did a later version of it called Deluxe Dice Game. So anyway, yeah, it was the same thing where the cards' prices were a little bigger. So anyway, I think Dice Game, well, it is pretty tough at some parts, but for some reason, I like it though. Number 6 is another pricing game that involves a little skill and what have you. And it's another game to win a card, 3 Strikes. This debuted in February of '76 and is still going to this day. This is among one of the few pricey games to get a few facelifts. Now, currently, the game now looks like, the game board actually looks like it's from an actual baseball stadium, which I thought was pretty cool and what have you. But anyway, let's get started. The contestant has shown 8 baseballs that are chips, 5 white ones with a number representing a digit in one of the 5 numbers in the price of card, and 3 red ones with an X called the strike. They're placed in a rotating drum designed for blind draw access. The contestant blindly draws a ball from the bag. They pick a white ball. They must decide. Now, if they are correct, the number will appear. But if they're incorrect, originally a buzzer was sounded, but then later they add a giant no symbol later on. And soon they later put a baseball with no on it. However, this does not count as a strike, though. The ball gets returned to the bag and they draw again. But if a contestant draws a red ball with a strike, the foghorn sounds. Yeah. Well, the solo loser horn sounds. Not the multiple one, like you hear it, you lose the game. An X marker is lit on the board and is discarded. They may continue to draw as many times until they got it, or unless they get 3 strikes and lose. Enough said. Number 5 is Hole in One. Or 2. Another game you can play for a car. Now, Hole in One, as it originally started out, came out in May of 1977. It's still going on to this day. Now, it's a miniature golf game, and you could also possibly win a potential cash bonus by placing 6 products from least to most expensive. Now, Bob Barker, of course, usually shows his display of trying to do it. Sometimes he misses, sometimes he does get it. Now, if you've seen the film Happy Gilmore, which has that classic fight against Adam Sandler's the titular character, well, I think you know what I'm trying to tell you. Anyway, now the hole is at the center of the area and is larger than a standard golf hole. The straightaway has 6 evenly spaced lines, the last of which is where the straightaway meets the circular area. Now then, 6 grocery items are used to determine the line from which line the contestant will putt. The contestant is asked to order the items from least to most expensive, with flags representing the items being placed in the given order and what have you. Now they are revealed in order. As long as each item is higher priced than the previous item, the contestant moves up to that line. Otherwise, the contestant does not advance, and the remaining flags are removed without their prices revealed. If the contestant orders the groceries items perfectly, they receive a cash bonus of $500. The contestant then has an attempt to sink a putt they earn to win the car. But if they miss, then they lose. But later on, let's see. Yes, in 1986, no, not 86, it was 1987, my apologies. Almost a decade later, was changed to hole in one or two to get another putt. A putt counts if it is sunk after bouncing off the rail, too, as in miniature golf. So, anyway, this game's still played to this day. I still think it's a pretty fun game, though. Number 4 is a retired game, and this one is one that took probably the longest than any other pricing game to do. Super Ball, based on the arcade game of Skee Ball. It was played for 3 large prizes, each worth more than $1,000, and a cash prize of up to $3,000. They also used small prizes. It was introduced in 1981 and retired in February of 1981, and it retired in January of '98. Now, the contestant was shown 3 large prizes, each behind one of the big doors. The contestant was then shown 3 small prizes on the turntable, one at a time originally. Each prize had a ball with that was associated with one of the large prizes. As with Secret X, which that's sort of a semi-honorable mention, each small prize also displayed 2 prices. The contestant had to play a mini version of double prices by choosing the correct prize. They were correct, they won, but if they lost, they lose the ball. After all 3 prizes were played, and assuming that they had at least at least one of those balls, they were taken to the standard arcade skee ball lane. The center ring marked win was surrounded by a $100 ring and a $50 outer area. $50 was the minimum a contestant could win for each ball earned. After Bob's demonstration of practice roll, the contestant rolled each ball they had one on the lane. If they rolled the win ring, they won the large prize associated with the ball. Otherwise, they won the amount of money associated with the cash ring they rolled into. But anyway, once they were all rolled, the contestant attempted to win the Super Bowl by doing another double prizes. And if they won, they could roll into the lane, with a win earning them all 3 prizes. A Super Now, if the contestant had already won 3 prizes with standard balls, a Super Bowl win would earn them $3,000. The Super Bowl landed in our cash ring, the contestant earned triple the value of that ring. Anyway, the game actually took so long to do and what have you, but apparently they retired it. It took a long time for them to play this game, though. Oh well. Number 3 is the Grand Game. This premiered in May of 1980 and is still playing to this day. It has gone through some changes over the previous years. Now, that's where you can win up to $10,000 by picking products that are under a target price. They begin with a dollar display on a game board and shown the target price. The contestant is then shown 6 grocery items, 4 of which are priced below the target and 2 are above the price. Now, if they select an item that they believe is less, they would get a 0 added to display, increasing the price to 10 and going on. But if they chose incorrectly, it would go right back to $1. Yeah. At times I have seen some people. Now I have win that after going to 1,000, the contestant may quit the game if they wish and not risk. But if they do and they get the wrong price, back to 1. But anyway, Grand Game, I think it's pretty good. I've seen it. It's fun. Number two is Punch a Bunch. This debuted in September 1978 and is still going to this day. The first ever all cash game to be played. The name comes from the fact that the contestant can punch a bunch. The bunch means a lot of money. The centerpiece of Punch a Bunch is a punch board which conceals a paper slip with a dollar value in each of its 50 paper cover holes. To begin the game, the contestant is shown four small prizes. One at a time, each tagged with an incorrect price. They must decide whether the correct price of the prize is higher or lower than the price shown. For each correct decision, they earn that prize and earns a punch on the board. If they guess all four prizes wrong, they don't win any punches on the board and the game is over instantly. An extremely rare occurrence that happened only once throughout the years. Once all four prizes are played, the contestant makes the number of punches won, leaving the slips of paper inside the holes. The slip in the first hole punch is removed and shown. And then they must decide where to keep the cash amount or quit, or give it back to into the next hole. The game continues until the contestant accepts the money on a slip or has no more holes to look in, and wins the amount found in the final hole, or if they win the top prize, which was a whopper. It was $25,000. And well, it was just so big. It changed in numerous versions of The Price is Right, but even so, I think Punch and Bunch is pretty good. And finally, my number one favorite pricing game of The Price is Right is, I think you know what it is, a game that recently turned 40 years this year, and that is Plinko, which is probably the most popular pricing game of them all. Created by the show's late executive producer Frank Wayne, it is played for a cash prize up to $50,000 and also awards prizes valued on $100. It is frequently said to be the most famous of all the pricing games. And let me tell you something, I couldn't have said it better myself. They are given one round flat disc called a Plinko chip and can earn up to four more for a total of 5 chips. Small prizes are presented one at a time, each bearing a 2-digit prize, with one digit incorrect. The contestant must decide which digit is correct to win another Plinko chip, as well as the prize. Then the contestant takes the chips they have earned up a set of stairs to the top of the Plinko board. Now the board is made up of a field of pegs, which each row offset from the previous row. At the bottom of the board are 9 slots marked symmetrically with the values from outside to the single center slot. From 100, there's 100, 500, 1,000, the big one, 10,000, and the dreaded 0. One at a time, the contestant lays a Plinko chip flat against the top of the board and releases it. As the chip falls, it is deflected by pegs, making it virtually impossible to predict where it'll land. Sometimes it'll do some other stuff. The sides of the board are in a zigzag pattern, which allows the chips to ricochet back toward the center. The contestant wins whatever money corresponds with the slot that the chip lands in, with a running total displayed on a scoreboard. If a chip becomes stuck on the board, it is knocked free and the drop does not count. The chip is returned to the contestant to try again. When a chip is stuck above arm's length, the host will usually use a long stick to dislodge it. Barker, of course, referred to this as his trusty Plinko stick, while Drew Carey just referred to the Plinko stick or Plinko wand. Anyway, now since 2007, if the chip gets stuck on one of the pegs on the top row, Drew would count this drop anyway and ask the contestant to knock it down free. Contestants cannot stop and quit with any money after dropping any Plinko chips. They must drop each chip, and the total amount accumulates after each drop is as stated above. This is due to the game having no risk. And that's that. So now you know what my favorite and least favorite Price is Right games are. And again, I'm sorry to hear about the loss of Bob Barker. He was a good man and he lived a good long life. Rest in peace. So anyway, that's going to do it. And I hope you liked this double ranking and my memoriam to Bob Barker. Again, rest in peace. Oh yeah, and let's not forget. I hope he'll give back with Mark Goodson and Bill Todman too. I almost forgot those two. Oops. But anyway, if you like this, click the like button. And if you would like to leave a comment, what's your favorite and least favorite Price is Right pricing games? You can please feel free to let me know. Leave them in the comment section. If you want to subscribe, click subscribe and be a part of the Big D Nation. And next time I'll be bringing to you part 2 of my Madonna songs ranking with the 90s. So I hope you enjoy this, and if you did, check out these other videos. In the upper left-hand corner is the Wide World of Game Shows episode I did on The Price is Right itself. In the upper right-hand corner is my review of Happy Gilmore. Or, if you would like, go to the bottom left-hand corner and see my Wide World Game Show for an underrated game that CBS did air and feature Rod Roddy's announcing, and something that came on before The Price is Right, and that being the underrated. And the bottom right hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.